Hey there, good morning to you and welcome to Still Up with 6, where our conversation continues. You can see Heidi and I are a little bit more distant today as we practice our social distancing, not only here on Texas Today, but throughout the different day parts. We are just taking all the precautions we can as we continue to navigate this world where coronavirus continues to be the topic of conversation and will be for a long time.
Yeah, and we've been telling you guys at home to social distance yourself from people, so that's why we're doing that as well here on Still Up with 6. And we're kind of just dedicating today's discussion to the coronavirus. We know that you guys have a lot of questions. I know, Chris, you've been verifying a lot of claims that people are sending you, and you're kind of getting them by the hour. Just so many different questions. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for us to kind of discuss it, answer some questions that we may have some answers to here. And so drop your comments. Let us know if you have any questions. But we're really just having an overall discussion about it and where it's at right now, especially here in Central Texas.
And Heidi, you mentioned my Verify inbox has been full, and that's a really good thing. We encourage you guys at home, if you have questions, send it in to us. We do the research for you, because right now there's so much fear.
Yeah.
And what happens when there's fear is that spawns misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation right now. People, of course, desperate to protect themselves and their families, and we understand that. But if you share this misinformation, in a lot of cases, it can actually be more harmful than anything.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We do want to reiterate, we are just telling you the facts. We don't want any fear, no panic here. We're just having an open conversation, giving you guys the facts. That is part of what we have to do every single day, whether we're talking coronavirus or any other important news. That's our goal, is to tell you guys what's real, what's not, the facts, and keep you informed in order to promote safety and keep everyone up to speed on the very latest.
Yeah, so we'll be here for the next 15 minutes just kind of answering your questions at home. I do want to go over a couple real quick topics that we have verified as false, because they're spreading like wildfire right now on social media. The one we talked about this morning, there's a viral post going around right now, and I'm sure you've seen it on your social media feeds, that if you gargle warm water for a period of time, it'll just wash that virus away if it's in your throat. We verified that's just not true. This is a virus that's made up of tiny little droplets, too small, in fact, to be washed away.
So that's a good verified question. Yeah, I did see that on my social media. I also saw, and of course we do want to keep you up to date on the numbers here in Texas. We have our first death related to the coronavirus. So that's the very latest in terms of numbers. And again, we're seeing a lot of cities now closing their bars, their lounges, their restaurants, and requiring those restaurants to do takeout and delivery only.
Yeah, certainly this could be the very beginning of some of the mass closures we'll see, not only across the state, but here locally as well. Magnolia, of course, has shut their doors. Many restaurants are doing delivery only, as you mentioned. A lot of drive-through establishments are limited to only drive-through, and I think that we're going to see this as just the beginning.
Yeah, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Starbucks, as well as Whataburger taking precautionary measures to keep their doors closed. No dining area will be open, but you can still eat your favorite foods. There's so many delivery apps for people who are wondering, what are my options? Well, you can download Favor, Waiter, DoorDash. There's so many different options that will deliver the food straight to your door.
Yeah, and I also want to address a couple of different things. I know that a lot of people out there are concerned, possibly they think they have symptoms or someone they know has symptoms, and there's a lot of questions about testing, where to get tested, when you should get tested. Right now, health experts are advising that unless you're really showing symptoms and a doctor advises you get tested, to not go to testing clinics. You have to, of course, go to the websites before you go to certain ones, like at Baylor Scott and White. There's misinformation. We talked about it last week, that you can go to, we talked about it over the weekend, excuse me, that you can go to blood donation centers in order to get tested. That's kind of a loophole. That's absolutely not true, and you could be doing real harm, because there is a huge need for blood right now.
Yeah, there really is. So if you can donate, go out and donate to your blood banks. But
if you're healthy, of course.
If you're healthy, and you can, yeah. But you brought up a good point. You can't just go get tested. You can't just go to Baylor Scott and White and get tested. There is a questionnaire online that you need to fill out before it is recommended that you go get tested. So that's another important thing to note there. So if you feel like you have symptoms, you're scared you may have been in contact with somebody who may have it, go online, fill out the questionnaire, and then it'll tell you what to do moving forward.
Yeah, and we can confirm this morning that, of course, we've talked about this, but the first vaccine has been tested, so we're hoping that's a big step in progress. If we can't work, what are our options to make sure our bills are paid? That's a really good question, Sabrina, and I know that so many of you out there in the service industry, in the restaurant business, things like that, are having a really hard time figuring out ways that they can make ends meet. I would advise to you, Sabrina, there are, I know that there's a lot of avenues that have been shut down, but you mentioned it, Favor, DoorDash, these things, Grubhub, these are all businesses that will be hiring more and more drivers as the demand for delivery services grow. I think that's a really good option, and you mentioned HEB is also.
Yeah, so HEB is now looking for part-time workers to work overnight to help with the restocking and cleaning of the stores, so that's an option as well. Another option that I thought of is think about all the people who need daycare service, who need you to watch their kids now that they're not in school. We know a lot of schools are closed here in the area, so maybe you can offer that service to your Facebook friends and extended family members as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that this is a really tough time for a lot of people who are out of work, a lot of working parents who rely on school as a means of making sure their child is taken care of. But you've got to be creative with some of the options that you go into. A lot of delivery options are going to be the avenue right now for temporary work. Amazon, of course, is hiring a number of different workers because the demand for delivery in their business has grown as well.
Yeah, and also I want to touch a little bit on some stores. I know Dollar General is dedicating the first hour that they're open to seniors. This is something really important. I really want to discuss this because I was at HEB yesterday. The shelves are practically empty. And it's scary to see. It's really just, it makes you think about the people who haven't been able to stock up or even get their daily food. I know elderly people are having a hard time. A lot of viral posts about elderly people struggling to get their hands on food. So stores like Dollar General will be opening. Their first hour will be dedicated strictly to seniors who need their shopping.
I think there's definitely some good advice here from Bo. Pay your delivery driver or order with a credit card. Don't use cash. There's tons of germs on cash. I think that's a really good point there, Bo, and I would stress that those apps are very, very useful and that they're convenient, that you can use your credit card information. And that way, these delivery drivers are going to be out there and there's going to be a need for them, but they're also going to be putting themselves a little bit in harm's way. A good option also for these delivery drivers, I think a lot of the times, is to leave that food outdoors so there's not an exchange or a close proximity. And
if you've ordered through these apps, you can actually put that in the comments section. You can suggest that they just leave it at the door and ring the doorbell for you. So that's another option as well to stay safe. And I think we're getting, have they said how soon they'll know if the test vaccine is successful and become available? That yet has not been discussed. I think right now the first step is to see if that vaccine is a good option, if it does work, before we learn more details about when it will be released.
Yeah, we're really just at ground zero of this entire thing. This is the very first test vaccine that we're having. It's going to be a long time before we know whether or not it's effective. But hopefully it's something that is sooner rather than later. I think they're also working on different strategies to try to speed up testing. Right now we know that it's 3 to 5 days before you get those results back. And we mentioned earlier in the show, if you're watching Texas Today, that means that when you get those results, they're immediately outdated because you could have been exposed to the virus in that waiting period.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions because I think the world is just trying to navigate together day by day and figure out exactly what needs to be done. I know the very latest right now, President Trump and the administration saying that there's new guidelines where you shouldn't be around groups of 10 or more people. So that's another thing you can do to keep yourself safe. And President Trump did say that this could last until July or even August. So I think that's another thing that has a lot of people concerned, is this is going to be a lengthy thing. We're going to be discussing this for a long time. So I think the more vigilant you remain and the more steps you take to stay healthy and to stay cautious and to keep yourself self-quarantined and work from home, if you're able to do so, the better.
Are there options for utilities if unable to work or mass shutdowns? I think that you would have to contact your utility company to see if there's some kind of plan in place. I know that there's certain industries are offering other options, alternative options for those who are having a hard time working right now. So, Susan, I would encourage you to contact your utility company and see what their policy is with this. But of course, Susan, if you are looking for part-time work, we mentioned a moment ago some of the options that are out there for you.
Now, in terms of shutdown, I think that's a big question that a lot of people have on their minds right now, especially as we saw yesterday, San Francisco and New York City. Both cities have implemented some new rules for people being outdoors. I think that right now that's something we won't be seeing here in Central Texas, but that doesn't rule out that option for major cities like Dallas and Houston, where they have a bigger population.
Yeah, and it's just such a changing landscape, and we're navigating navigating through this with you guys at home, and we know that there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of misinformation as well. I do want to just reiterate one more time, if you have questions, please send them in to me to verify before you share them online.
Yeah, and of course, Chris is posting his verifies daily on Twitter. They're also on our website, so if you want to just play catch up on some of the claims that he has verified so far. I know he's been covering the coronavirus, and we all have, but he's been verifying for about almost 2 weeks now, so there's plenty of information that you can share to make sure you don't spread misinformation online.
Yeah, absolutely. This is coming from Samantha. I've seen if you've been laid off or have less hours, you can apply for unemployment aid with the state of Texas. Is that true? Really good question, Samantha. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to actually screen grab this right now, and I'll get on that, and I will, as soon as I do the research for you, we can try to answer that question as soon as possible, possibly tomorrow morning if possible. I'm going to start trying to get these things, really generate them throughout the day. We'll have them every day on the evening show as well. There's all the contact information if you're trying to get in contact with me about something you want verified. Of course, our national team is working around the clock as well. So Samantha, great question. I'll look into that for you.
That really is a good question. I think another question people are asking is, you know, now that places are having a hard time restocking store shelves, what other options? Well, try to think outside the box. Try to go to stores that aren't as big, maybe not the H-E-B down the road. Maybe drive a little bit further. I know if you go to my Facebook page, I did share, you can go to my Facebook page. A lot of people are putting in options of different H-E-Bs that do have some of this stuff that is needed during this time.
Gloria says, can you please tell people to stop panic buying? And it's a very good point. Of course, you want to be prepared. But people who are hoarding supplies, people who are out there cleaning out store shelves, that is so detrimental to a community out there that really is going to need access to the supplies if this continues down the path that it already is. So that's a good point there, Gloria. And we have been reiterating on the show that facts, not fear, and don't get out there and panic. We have to navigate this thing pragmatically.
Yeah, and if you want to stay up to date, you can text the number right there on the screen, 254-859-5481. It'll actually update you and send you the latest information on the coronavirus. Again, this is something that we are learning more about as a whole together daily. New updates, new information, new numbers. So there is so many changing parts to this coronavirus, and I think the most important thing is to stay informed and don't panic. I think that's the one thing we do want to stress. It's all about the facts, not the fear here on KCEN, and of course that's something that you guys should practice at home as well. Just no panicking, just being prepared and staying informed.
Yeah, good morning to you, Raymond. So many of you have so many good questions, and I'm seeing a number of them coming through on the comments right now. Remember, I am working around the clock to make sure I get you the facts at home. We both are working to answer your questions. It's a very important time to stay in the know. So if you have something you want verified, maybe I haven't gotten back to you yet, and I'm sorry if I haven't. Keep those questions coming. You're not bothering me. Just keep them coming. Remind me, hey, I asked this question a while ago. We're doing our best to make sure you guys have all the answers and the truth at home.
Yeah, and we want to end on a little bit of a lighter note. We just posted this article in the comments section about H-E-B donating $3 million to support communities dealing with the coronavirus. We saw actors Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds donate $1 million to food banks in both America and in Canada. So I think we're starting to see the world come together, and as people are social distancing themselves or staying self-quarantined at home, we're seeing people like John Legend, who's going to be hosting a virtual concert later today. Trying to keep everyone entertained and keeping people informed in the best way possible. Yeah,
Bill says he just wants the YMCA in Waco to open up again. He's bored of being home. Bill, you know, we're all doing it. I've had to get a little creative, getting some workouts done at home. It's the world we're living in right now, but these facilities are closing just to try to stop the spread out of abundance of caution. It's not the last that we're going to see at these closings.
No, that's so true. There's still so many gyms that haven't yet closed that I anticipate will close. But if you're looking for something fun to do and you do want to work out, there's always YouTube videos. Just Google like a P91X or some other things, and you can work out from home and still get in your steps and whatnot.
Absolutely. We want to thank you guys for joining us here on Still Up with 6. Our conversation will continue tomorrow. Let me answer the last question. John says, is it looking like school for our children will be shut down for the rest of the year? If so, is there a plan for our kids to stay educated and continue on their path?
It's a good question.
We had a full segment covering the different ways that some of our area school districts are planning on navigating this earlier today. We've got a list of that on our website, kcntv.com. A lot of schools, John, are going to turn to virtual learning, and there's going to be a lot of tutoring programs, I'm sure, that will be offered in the coming days as well.
And some schools are also extending their spring break even further. I know in Dallas they've closed schools indefinitely at Dallas ISD. So again, this is something that is developing, but I do know that packets are going to be handed out to parents to help you parents at home teach your kids during this time. Let's see, Melissa, what's a good number to call if you come across
price gouging?
Yes.
Now, what you want to do, Melissa, is you want to report that to the State Attorney General's office. They are actively right now looking into different instances because people are taking advantage of the situation. So, Melissa, if you go to the State Attorney General's website, they've got all the contact information and what you need to fill out to report it, because if you don't report it, they don't know about it. And if they don't know about it, they can't prosecute it. And then these people will continue to take advantage of the situation. Very good question, Melissa. So the State Attorney General's office is who is in charge of price gouging.
Yeah, I can't believe people are doing this in this time right now. It's just, I mean, if you know somebody who's doing this, put an end to it and report it immediately.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining our conversation here on Still Up with 6. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place.
That's right. Have a great day.